AI has given us the most amazing ability in the last century, 2 centuries, maybe since the existence of mankind. It has allowed us to actually build a large operation with a small amount of team members. In the past, we used to have to hire multiple people. So you look at maybe the pyramids being built. I mean, a little over exaggeration, but the pyramids being built required a large amount of people, right? Any sort of operation needs this large amount of people, but AI has allowed us to reduce the amount of people needed in any operation, whether you're a business that is a carpenter, whether you're actually within an agency space, marketing agency, automation agency, SEO agency, or whether you're a real estate agent. It applies to everyone. And I've learned this with my own time in the industry. I've scaled to over $50,000 in the last few months with only 3 team members. And really the secret is implementing AI where it's needed and where it's leveraged the most. So I do this for myself, and I've also done it for many clients. So let's get into it. I'm going to show you my top 5 secret automations, but everyone should know about a lot of these, or if you don't, dig into it because they work amazingly. So like I said, this is me in the middle, this fine young gentleman without hair, which probably a scary thought, looking at myself without hair. But you don't need large teams nowadays. You sort of see these like solopreneur and that, all these terms. Really, it's just AI. You don't need all these agents, solopreneur, any of this. You just need to put the AI in the right place. So a few places I'm going to put it. I'm just going to go through 5 where they've made the biggest impact. I've managed to build it all with 3 team members with these key automations put in certain places that frees up all the human time to actually do human things and stuff that is incredibly impactful. And that's how we've been able to build my agency, my AI agency, Blacklight Automations, to where it is today. So the first one is proposal management. Now, what normally happens is you get on a sales call with someone. Don't worry, my new pen is coming shortly, so you'll have a lot of prettier drawings in future videos. So you get on a sales call with someone and they say, yes, I want this product. And you get off the call, you sort of got to go through all your notes. You got to sift through, what they want, their deliverables, how much did I charge them, and just there's a whole bunch of stuff, right? So you end up having this notepad with lots and lots of lists. Now, what your job is as a sales rep, or if you're a solopreneur, you do either, is you need to turn this into a nice, pretty proposal prop. Let's just call it a prop. These can be multiple pages. So, for example, my proposals are about 7 to 10 pages, depending on what we're building for the client. And these can take a very long time to do it. Sure, you can use, ChatGPT and get your notes inputted, write it out and all that stuff. But there is a far simpler way to do this. And how it works is when you're on, I was going to draw in circles, but when you're on a sales call, you fill out a type form. Let's just label it like this. A type form. So you're talking, and in this type form, it has questions that you're filling in, you're prompting, it gives you reminders for the client. But more importantly, it's extracting this information for later down the track when we build the proposal. You get off the call, all good, send me a proposal. Okay, we'll do. You click submit on this, and this is the trigger. When this triggers off, what happens is on the back end in make.com, it will use GPT. So we'll do like a GPT here. It will understand everything that you've put in this form. So mine says, what are the deliverables? What's the solutions? What's the problems? What's the time frame? And how much is it going to cost? I click send. ChatGPT interprets all of this. It writes it into pretty notes. And then there's a few ChatGPT modules. And then it goes on PandaDoc. but this also works with any, I'm going to give up writing, but it works with any document, DocuSign, it works as well. There's a template that's input into PandaDoc. So Typeform gets all this information, it gives it to GPT, GPT makes the information and then creates and puts it as a draft document within PandaDoc. All I need to do then is I was present here. So this is me here, and I'm present here when we submit it. Submit. And that's my whole thing. I click Typeform, I submit the form on there, and I give it about a minute, and then I go to my PandaDoc, and the draft form with all dynamic fields and everything is established for this client. So say the client's name, I'll say the client's name and everything, because all this was put in the first part of the Typeform. And that's saved a huge amount of time. On average, most people spend 2 to 3, sometimes 4 or 5 hours on making a proposal after a sales call, and it can hurt the business quite a lot. It's not even just an AI or if it's like a closed deal, but this works for any and applies to any business. If you can, on the call, you say, okay, let me send you a proposal, ready, watch this, and, just press it, and then you send it to, you get the draft and then you send it off straight away. Within 2 minutes, they've got it. They'll be like, wow, that's impressive. You wrote all that. Like, this is everything we spoke about 5 minutes ago. And you can make a huge impact. And especially if you're selling a system very similar, you're like, okay, so you see me do that. Imagine what else I can do, right? And it can work to your favor. I don't do that personally, but it works. So that's proposal management. We can really, really streamline this. And this nowadays, for me, it takes me about 10 minutes. So after I've called, I'll review the draft. If there's any changes, I'll change it. If not, then I'll send it over to the clients. So there's the second one that we do, let me take a sip, is the sales calls. Now, this isn't really to run the team, a secret automation to run the team, but it's very important that people actually know this. When you do your sales calls, one of the biggest factors is you want to always be improving your closing rate, right? You want to make sure you're improving closing rate, your statistics are there. You want to make sure that everything is being reviewed in the call. You want to make sure that you've got everything that you mentioned, task lists, just the whole calls, right? And we have transcription services. So I use Fathom. I use Fathom for mine, but there is a plethora of sales calls in there, and they provide these documentations. They provide everything in there, so it will say, here's a transcript, here's a summary, and everything like that. Now the power lies when we plug this into GPT, and the great part is there is a plugin. There's a Trident, but there's a plugin for it. And then this can go for a Google Sheet, right? Let's just go G Sheet. So when we're doing these sales calls, there's 2 ways you can do this. If you're running a team and you actually have a sales agent or a business manager, you can actually plug this into the system, and once a call is ended, which is here, it will then trigger the automation, get AI to interpret it, understand everything, and then it'll also give you pointers based on the transcript. Maybe you started a little bit here, maybe you spoke a little too long here, maybe this was a key opportunity to actually close them or, upsell a product. And whole dashboards have been built, and I know people that build these. Whole dashboards are built purely on, a call was made, here's the statistics, here's how long they've spoken to, here's recommendations, and then the AI will actually assess, the quality of a call, like were they a good sales agent, really? And that's done based on the responses that the other person gives. So it's not like hey, you're not human, you don't understand. It actually does it by a response. If someone says, are we ready to close this right now? And the response is, then, it can pick up. You don't have to be a robot or a human to actually understand that. So that's the first part of sales call. The second part that you do is, this can be done for anything. So we do onboarding call. Onboarding calls, you have regular calls, you have meeting calls, just anything where there's a recorded call. It can be added to GPT and then put in a Google Sheet. Now, a lot of people will say it's redundant, like, why would you do this? A good example of this is when I do onboarding calls, I need notes, which will bring me to my second section in a second. I need notes from clients for, was there little secret things that, that expectations that the client wanted that possibly they were subtly indicating. So when I go to do the building for the clients, have I got everything? Have I got absolutely everything they want and expect with the automation? And then on top of that, we have additional notes. So in my agency, if you're non-agency and you're watching this, or maybe you're a freelancer, whenever we do an onboarding call, we need to hand over the building notes. So if we think of it like this, and then let's do a red one here. This section here is my intervention. So in here will be the onboarding. Here will be the sales call, and really just getting all the logins and everything from clients. So that's this bit here. From there, we then need to hand over documentation so that my staff know what to build, how to build it, what's the expectation, what's deliverables, timelines, everything like that. When we do this, all of this stuff was spoken in one of these calls, in a Fathom call. So when I get to this point, I need to do a handover to this person. This can be completely done automatically, right? In these Fathom calls, I can initiate the call, jump in there a few minutes before the person and just say, okay, this is the building call. And those keywords are the trigger for the GPT module to say, these are for builder notes. And then this can be triggered automatically. This is all done through GPT, these builder notes. So the moment we finish up the call, if it's for a onboarding call, which the title will say as well, the documentation will be uploaded and then put into a G drive for the builders to actually do it. Builder builds, and then I take over after that, right? So this part needs a solid handover. This doesn't have to be a builder's note. If you're I've worked with quite a few marketing agencies that do the same thing. They'll have the sales call and they'll sort of get metrics, and they'll get, like ad spend and statistics and the goals they want. And if they're running, meta ads, then they want to know like what assets are we getting and all that stuff. All of this needs to be translated to another staff member actually running their campaign, like just the I can't think of the name at the moment, but the people actually doing the ads, like a campaign manager. So even though I'm talking about the AI space, this can still be done to every other industry. There will always be some point where sales will hand to the project people, and then the project will handle to sales for delivery. And this automation can do the exact same thing. The third one, cold email systems. Everyone sends cold emails, and I mean everyone. So how do you stand out from cold email systems? Well, icebreakers. Icebreakers are the king, right? When we send an email, we have like Dear John, standard text, thanks. In here, we want an icebreaker. It is 2025, nearly 2026. We need icebreakers. We need some sort of personalization. So when we're doing the icebreakers, This is all done through GPT. We get the leads from Apollo from somewhere. We upload the Excel document into a G drive in here. It will then take the leads, enrich them, get the email addresses, but it will also get the company profile. So this can either be a company profile here. It can be, we can add a Perplexity module. I've done that in the past. I'm not running it at the moment. But we can add sort of an additional enrichment. And then what these modules do is it creates the icebreakers, right? I'm just going to leave it at icebreakers, and then adds it into our email. So it flows into here. If you don't run the icebreakers or some sort of automation for an email system to make it look personalized, your reply rates are well under 1%. If you do it correctly and you run an icebreaker and you have good copy, you could go anywhere 5 to 20%. 20% being very, very targeted and small niche, but it's possible. So how my cold email systems work. I get data from Apollo. I put it into a G drive and it triggers the automation. The automation will get all the enrichment stuff. So we'll get the email addresses. We will use ChatGPT to, when we're getting the enrichment stuff, it's obviously like company name, what they do, who they are, their title and everything. And then GPT will create this icebreaker here and input it into the email systems. And from there, it will input it into, I use Insta. Unless people are going to think it's Instagram. Use Instantly, and then that creates our icebreaker within Instantly. So obviously I have a variable with icebreaker. The curly brackets is not a curly bracket. Like that with a variable icebreaker. And then it imports into the emails straight away. The last system that has saved an enormous amount of time, like a ridiculous amount of time, is handovers and SOPs. Now, anyone who does SOPs, you'll know they are pains in the butts. They can take forever to do. But what we can do is the same as how we do these sales calls and builders notes. We can utilize Loom. So I utilize Loom. I finish the build for clients. I always offer SOPs, and in the handover, sort of like a video of what the system is and how it works. The way that we do this is we get a Loom video and then we place it into it triggers in ChatGPT and then the ChatGPT module will have a preset out like a prompt for it. And it's like, you're building SOP, you want to include this, the structure and everything. And then it outputs to a Google Drive. This is how we do SOPs. We just record it, and then once we end the recording on a Loom video, it will automatically upload to Google Drive, and then Google Drive will trigger the automation for everything else. What you get is you spend 5 minutes recording a video on what the system is, and then your Google Drive, your ChatGPT spits out about a 2-3 page SOP, which is perfectly formatted. And this alone saves an hour per automation, I'd say, if I had to write everything up. And the same thing with automation, with the handovers. Anything that we need to do, we just record a Loom video, we go through the handover and the SOPs and just everything we need to do. We record a Loom, we stop the Loom, and then it'll trigger the automation to put it all into a document and a Google Drive. The only way that you categorize this is we want to put at the beginning of every call, we say, this is a standard operating procedure for X automation for this client. And you just say it in the first sentence. And GPT is smart enough to recognize in the transcript that, hey, this is what we're building. So that's how we run a very lean agency. So really we have 3 staff members. We have a PM/VA, and we have a builder, and then myself, me. And that's really all you need. So our contracts are done, right? We have a sales call. If we go through the sales process, then we just have a sales meeting. We have content and stuff, but that's not really part of managing a team. So I've left those automations out. But we have sales meetings, which then we need to send proposals to. So that's handled. From there, I then need to hand over everything that's been brain dumped in my head to my builder to actually help build these things. And we use a sales call and a builder notes to actually do these automations. Once we do that, we will then get a Loom video and do the handover and the SOP, which will be me, which is done through this automation, right? If we're going to get more clients, and one of the major methods we get clients is through a cold email system. So we'll then also automate that. So really, from sales to delivery, everything is automated as much as we can. We're always looking for little bits to actually implement. However, we're sort of at the stage now where about 90% is done, and we can just get those little incremental, 1% extras by adding to these flows. So that's how we run the whole thing. That's the 5 secret automations. If you are looking at starting an agency and you want to just skip past building all these things, I have a school community that is opening up very shortly that we are providing all these resources in, right? So we will provide you all the step-by-step playbooks, how you get clients, everything. And within the first 90 days, you will get your first client. And I'll give you all of these automations, all these SOPs, and how to actually go from 0 to 20, 30, 40K months without learning how to build it hands-on. Learn the concepts, but not how to build it. So that link is down below in the description. Like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.